now to discuss. He is co-founder and executive director of the Urban Warfare Institute, and he is also the author of Understanding Urban Warfare, retired U.S. Army Major John Spencer. Sir, great to have you on the show today. We appreciate it. Talk to us about the capabilities of the bunker buster bombs, that is, especially when it comes to striking Iran's Fordo nuclear facility. That's believed to be more than 250 feet underground. And what do you make of these reports of the 6 B-2 bombers heading towards Guam? What should we be expecting here?
Well, good morning, Tracy. So the bunker buster is just for any suite of munition that's designed to penetrate the ground first before exploding, so not on the surface. The ones that most people are talking about that Israel doesn't have are these massive ordnance penetrators, which are specifically designed to go deeper than some of the other bunker busters, like a 2,000 pounds. So these are 30,000-pound bombs that can go up to 200 feet underground. And like you said, Fordo is believed to be 300, if not 400 feet underground in different sections of it. So it'd probably take 2 of these, because there is a tactic of dropping one bunker buster and then follow it with another as the first one clears the way. These are massive bombs weighing over 30,000 pounds. And the B-2 stealth fighter that we're talking about, which we have seen many reports now that have left U.S. bases and positioning in Guam and other locations, because President Trump's not threat or promise that if there isn't a solution in a certain amount of time, just like when he gave 60 days, Israel attacked on the 61st day, President Trump has given another 2 weeks. These are one of the few capabilities that could take out that Fordo nuclear site, which is one of the biggest, with a minimum amount of risk. So only a U.S. plane, only a U.S. bomb. But yes, and as Israel has mentioned, there are other ways to do it, but it would cause extreme risks like they did in Syria last year, where they put 100 special forces on the ground to blow it up from inside, but it's extreme risk to all of those soldiers, aircraft, and everything. So this would be a very effective way for the United States to deploy a capability to achieve the goal of destroying this nuclear bomb-making infrastructure as quick as possible.
Yeah, and you mentioned that 2-week time frame that the president said, whether he will decide or not to get directly involved in the conflict over there. What do you think it's going to take for the U.S. to drop this bunker buster on Iran? It's pretty serious.
Yeah, it's pretty serious, but it's also really, peace through strength. I mean, the president has been very clear that the Ayatollah has had a decision from the beginning that he can either destroy and dismantle his program, or it can be done for him by force. Israel's doing a pretty good job of destroying that nuclear program. They've killed 14 of the 15 nuclear scientists. They've hit almost all the sites that they possibly can with their advanced munitions. What it will take, I think the president is waiting till all options have been expended, just like he had before. There's ultimately a diplomatic solution here, just like when Iraq in the 1980s, their nuclear site had to be destroyed, and then international inspectors to verify the program had been dismantled. There's always got to be a diplomatic solution, because this is about changing the regime in Iran's behavior, not just what it has now and how close it was to breakout of a bomb. This is about convincing them that it needs to give that program up.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk about Iran's proxies and what they will do. And now we're hearing that Yemen's Houthi rebels are threatening to target American ships in the Red Sea. That's if Washington decides to strike Iran. Back in May, the U.S. and Houthi rebels agreed to a ceasefire under which neither side would target the other. Major, your thoughts on this development?
Yeah, I think it's another very big example of failed foreign policy. So years of foreign policy of thinking that somebody's going to change their behavior, you just give them more money, like the Islamic regime, whose nuclear program is a result of failed, like the JCPOA agreement, and just saying, well, they need more time as they rush to it. So the Houthis in Yemen, probably the biggest pirate terror regime ever created, completely armed by the Islamic regime with an immense amount of shore-to-sea capabilities, is threatening U.S. vessels, global international shipping, and Israel as it launches about once a month a ballistic missile towards Israel. It's another example of these failed foreign policies of, well, if we just try these things over and over again, these terror regimes will change their behavior, because that's what the Islamic regime has been building, not just a nuclear bomb, but this ring of fire to be able to do its bidding and activate when it wants. That program, the Houthi missile stockpile that it has now, will also have to be addressed. And Israel's and the United States, for a matter of weeks, did an airstrike campaign to weaken that regime, but clearly they haven't changed their behavior, and that capability will have to be removed as well.
Yeah, I want to pivot now to this, the talks in Geneva on Friday between the Iranian foreign minister and some of his European counterparts, yielding really little progress there. In your estimation, is the West past the point of diplomacy with Iran? And what do you think it'll take to get Iran to stop striking Israel and rein in their nuclear ambitions?
So, one, I do not think we're past diplomacy. War is the pursuit of political objectives, so it is ultimately a political solution, but it's also an act of force to compel your enemy to do your will. And this is what, again, this isn't starting a war. This is ending years of foreign diplomacy and the war that Iran has been waging on the West, on death to America, death to Israel, a real capability. It didn't only want and was not only building nuclear weapons, it was building an intercontinental ballistic missiles program so it could threaten Europe and could threaten the West. Clearly, the European effort failed because the Islamic regime still thinks it's going to keep some type of, enriched to a certain percentage, all these things. It doesn't need clean energy. This is a new world. There are new leadership in place, and I think that the diplomatic solution is always on the table, and President Trump, being the leader of this work, has said, look, we're ready to talk, come back to the table in good faith. And I think that was what we've seen in the last 9+ days, was an example of Iran not negotiating in good faith